The only reason I'm finally sharing this story on the internet where it shall last forever is as a warning to young women who are trustworthy, bubbly, um, and maybe in college like myself. When this happened to me, in this video, I will tell you the story of how I was nearly gRaped, and almost 10 years later, it definitely, I could feel it. I think about it a lot. And because I think about it so much, I am, you know, figuring out how the heck can I deal with it. And one of the ways I decided to try to deal with it was by sharing the story. There's been a lot of obstacles in the way of me sharing the story, including the headphones I'm using. So if you don't like the audio, I apologize. So I went to college when I was 17 years young, and I studied the sciences. So I was always someone who, even to this day, like I'll prefer to be at home than go out if I have responsibilities. But if the event seems good enough, and especially when I was 17, if my friends pressured me enough, every few weeks, once a month, I would go out because we're in college. Like these college parties are supposed to be fun, and all of my friends are going and they're begging me to go. I do stay in my room most of the time, so I'll go. So my first year of college was normal. It was fine. It was different. Um, my second year of college, I can look on Snapchat to find the exact day that this happened. But um, I believe I was 18, maybe 19 when this happened. I'll have to download Snapchat because I took pictures of, like, I remember the exact day. Like, if this has ever happened to you where you don't feel in control of your body, I don't know if you could ever forget that experience. So I'll tell you what happened again and the lesson from this, and I pray that you can take take away something from this. And one of those things being, don't ever think that something cannot happen to you. Don't ever think that you can't be stolen from. Don't ever think that. For me, it was, I thought that grape, I always thought that that was a man in a white van snatching you in the middle of the night. And that's not the case at all. That's not what coercion is at all. Um, and if you grew up like me, you could see things happen in movies. You can hear stories about things that happen. And then when you're actually in that situation, it just hits so different. So again, I was probably in my second year of college at this time. And a lot of whatever. It's one night in every city that I know of in Florida at a state college. We all have a club that we go to if you're 18 plus. So for Tampa, I believe it was called the Study. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're from Florida, but I believe it was called the Study. So a group of my girlfriends and I went out to the Study. It was me and three girlfriends total, that I'm still good friends with them. One of my friends drove. And if you know me, you know this would actually be kind of ironic, but um, but there was a gentleman that I thought was cute, and I'm a friendly person, so I definitely talked to him. I don't recall what I said per se, but our friend group started commingling because he had friends and I had friends. So we all started chit chatting or whatever while we were at this club. Now, also in college, for me in my experience, I was in a state college and I was in a dorm. And also, the only reason I'm comfortable sharing this online finally is because people close to me, I finally told certain people close to me. And so, if the internet knows, it's not so embarrassing because people close to me already. And I told them this year. And I was saying, so we have the study. I lost my train of thought. We're all commingling. I'm with 4 friends. He has like 5 friends, I think. Because I do remember it was like, he might have. I do remember it was like one more girl than there were guys, something like that. Um, so commingle in college, with my friends on our floor. Um, if we were all going somewhere, we there would be guys in girls' dorms and girls in guys' dorms. Or like if we were about to go somewhere, we would all hang out in some common area where we could all hang out and talk late at night. But also it was very like common with my friend group and you know with the people that who's don't like who I was just friends with. It was common for us to have mixed genders in one room, meaning like a group of 5 of us, right? Our friend group would be in someone's dorm and we'd be hanging out before we actually go out to whatever event. So I say that to say that's not something I grew up doing. I didn't grow up having male best friends, but it was just the culture of the state college that I was at in particular and the friend group that I had. And I always felt safe doing that. So this one night, among me and my 3 friends, none of us thought it was a terrible idea to, it's crazy to say, but to go to these gentlemen's off campus apartment. So in college, you know, it's just like dorms. The apartments are very similar. They're within like 2 to 3 miles of the dorms. In fact, this young man, Ollie, I'll literally name him because it makes the story easier. Ollie and his friend's apartment were right next to the study, which, I mean, I didn't drive that day, but it's a couple minutes from the college. So, oops, yes, that's that's already the lesson right there. I still find it very interesting that among me and my 3 friends, none of us thought it was a silly idea to go to these boys' house apartment that we didn't really know. We didn't know them, but in the context of how we behaved with our friend group, it kind of just, it is what it is. Not a smart decision looking back at it. Don't recommend that at all. And after that, we're all hanging out in the living room, chilling. The lighting is kind of dim. Um, but of course, we're kind of like mostly paired up with the opposite gender in terms of like how we're talking. But I remember standing kind of to the side, but still in the common living room where everybody else was. And I was talking to Ollie, just regular chat. Maybe I was flirting, maybe, but I do remember laughing. Like I remember laughing and touching his arm. Sue me, sue me. I guess that means, take me to your room. Um, I do remember that bit, but all jokes aside, we're all just chilling in the common area, and then um, he made a joke. Like I laughed lightly, and he like grabs my hand, and we walk down this short hallway. It's a college apartment. so it's not a big apartment at all. Walk down the short hallway, and the way he grabbed my hand, it was, I'd never been in that type of situation, so I was caught off guard. It wasn't anything I could scream at because he wasn't hurting me. So he just grabbed my hand. They were from Curacao, so they spoke like a Portuguese. And on the hallway on the left side was a bedroom with the light on. And one of his friends said something in Portuguese. So I'm like, oh, what did he say? Like, what are you guys saying? So they went back and forth with each other for a second, and they laughed while Ollie is still holding my hand. And he didn't translate for me, but from that moment was the longest 90 seconds of my life, the most impactful 90 seconds I could still feel with every like fiber in my being. It was so short, but he like I remember I think he like turned his room light off and moves my body towards the wall to kiss me, but it was not a cute kiss. And so we go from one wall to the bed. My back is on the bed. And this man, I'm 5'6", to my memory, he wasn't a tall guy. Like he might have been 5'8", maybe 5'9". And he had maybe like a jiu-jitsu style body. He was pretty strong looking, very buff. Any man, ladies, any man is stronger than you. Like, I don't know. That's my belief that like men, men, men will always be stronger than you. So it's happening so fast. Again, I'm not in pain, so I don't scream. My body goes from the wall to the back. My back is on the bed. Can't believe I'm saying these details, but again, I hope whoever's watching this just, again, like, don't think that something can't happen to you. Always, like, you can never be too careful. And I remember, like, the way these blinds are. His blinds were open, and I can see the street light shining in his room, and that was our source of light. And he's like, I start being unclothed, basically. And I'm like holding my shorts up, because again, like, wait, like, what are we doing here? I'm holding my shorts up, and like he stands up, and I could still to this day see the silhouette of his body, his booty naked body. And then just like that, my friend knocks on the door. My homegirl to this day knocks on the door. And since then, I was 18, maybe 19. I have had circumstances now that I felt just as a young woman going on dates with gentlemen, you know, And I don't meet men online. The men I've gone out with are men I've met in real life or I've known in real life. Maybe I went to school with them. One I worked with. I don't like I say this I guess to say like I'm not meeting people that like in a way I don't know from a can of paint. In a way, you never really know someone, but I met them in decent environments, and like till this day, up until I was 26, there had been situations that I was in just from going on regular dates where I felt one time even scared again that that would happen, right? If you're a woman and you go on any amount of dates with guys, maybe you have experience. Of course, they want to sleep with you for some reason at the end of the day, and you have to be like, no, somehow tell them no. And maybe most of the time it's pretty clear, pretty obvious, pretty easy. Um, but sometimes you can find yourself in a situation where it's harder to get that person off of you, or maybe they're asking you over and over again to a point where it almost feels like coercion, or you can't even be alone with a man. And again, not all men. We love men here, but you could even be alone with a guy and not even realize that you're putting yourself in a risky situation. For example, it can be in a work environment where you could be alone with him. It could be, I don't know, in a workout environment. You could find yourself alone in some room with a man, and like for a minute, you're like, things could get, things could go left very fast. So my point is, whether it's a date or some sort of whatever extracurricular environment where you find yourself alone with a man that you actually realize you don't even really know. And sometimes you can know him, you can have hung out with him, you can have had multiple conversations with him, you could even think he's a friend, and you still might have that moment where you think or feel in your body that he could do something to you, that he could take advantage of you. It is very important that you trust that sense and remove yourself from that situation. How I am dealing with that. So what happened when I was 18, it loops in my head. It loops in my head often. Um, and again, in my 20s, I found myself in a scary situation with someone I knew. Um, I felt like it's so indescribable. Maybe for men, you can describe the feeling as, let's say, a man feels like he's gonna get jumped. It's just like you really don't. You almost don't have control over your body because somebody bigger than you, stronger than you, can crush you in an instant. It's the scariest moment. So I had a few moments like that over the years, and it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks last year, and to a point where now what happened when I was in college continues to loop in my head, and it freaking hurts because that is truly nearly being gRaped. If my friend didn't knock on the door when she did, when she knocked on the door, he put his clothes back on, and I was able to get myself together as well. Um, when she knocked on the door, it's just so unreal because 5 more seconds, well, it would have been so different, so painful, and so stripping of a lot of my femininity, of my body, of my consent. It's such a stripping experience. Um, so that is my story. We're at 20 minutes. I hope to make this a actual video, and I would love to see if it reaches anybody differently. Be safe. And growing up, I will say one thing. I remember friends in like high school and grade school. They always had a boy best friend. Oh, this is my guy best friend. This is my guy best friend. Or even I've heard gay best friend before. I didn't have that in high school, so I don't know. I think that I feel that there's a if you're considered a late bloomer, you could feel like you're missing out on something because you don't have a guy best friend. But if you're a young lady, you don't know what that really can entail. And depending on the type of gentleman you come around, maybe you'll experience, uh, you know, guys wanting to go somewhere that you don't even want to go. And who knows if those young women who have that guy best friend, what that relationship really looked like, because maybe low key that guy always wanted something. So my point is to feel like in general and in all circumstances in this life, if there's something that you naturally don't do, if you naturally don't have a knack for it or a feeling for it, right? Like I didn't have a knack for going out to clubs at that time, but my friends wanted to go. Um, so I went, It's not to shift the blame to them, it's just like I could take accountability and say, I decided to go. Um, but anyway, my point is if you don't naturally have a knack for something, it can be best to stay away. Nothing really great happens past 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Trust me, it can be pretty risky. It can get crazy. So if you're in college, if you're going to college, if you consider yourself a late bloomer, if you haven't had your first kiss, if you don't like going out, if you never had a boyfriend, don't compromise yourself and your morals and your safety and your body for the sake of doing what everybody else does. So I hope that you're careful. May this video reach the right people. And like I said, I'll share it as a regular video someday. Maybe at a lighter time of the day, so you guys can hear me more.